You're listening to an IOE podcast.
Powered by UCL Minds.
Welcome to the ECF Staffroom. I'm Elaine Long.
And I am Mark Quinn.
We are programme leaders for the UCL Early Career Teacher Development Programme. Why are we in the staff room? We are here because this is where the best professional learning conversations always take place. This is where problems can be aired bluntly and where solutions can be explored.
Over the course of this series, we will hear the voices of different colleagues as they come into the ECF staff room. We will hear from early career teachers themselves and from the mentors and induction tutors who support them. We will talk about all things ECF, the challenges and the joys. So why don't you enjoy a coffee with us, perhaps even grab a biscuit and sit down to half an hour of ECF staff room chat. So, welcome, James Stubbs, to our ECF staff room. You're very welcome. I see you're sitting comfortably. I hope you're not sitting on the special chair. Every staff room has one. So if you're comfortable and you're ready to chat, first of all, just interested in a little bit about yourself, about what you do, what your actual role is in your school. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's two jobs, I guess, I do in the college. It's mostly I teach history. I'm a full-time teacher of history. That's my bread and butter, if you like. But I'm also a teacher and learning leader, like advanced practitioner by any of the names. So that includes mentor and ECTs, which I do happily. So I do like subject quality reviews, internal check-in, that kind of thing, lesson observations. And that's about it, really. That's my two major jobs in the college.
Excellent. Speaking as an old history teacher myself, James, very happy to sit down and chew the fat with you on that one. And what's your day been like today so far?
Oh, Monday's mostly prep day. I do teach mostly Monday afternoon. I have 3 lessons. It's quite nice, actually. It works out quite nice. Coming at 9 o'clock on a Monday, and I don't teach until 10 to 12. So I do the prep for the following week. And we have 2 courses, actually. We do modern history and Tudor history. So I prep a bit of each, and we do a bit of team prep, that kind of thing. So quite a nice day, really. Yeah, I love my job, and it's probably could be quite obvious in this meeting, to be honest with you. I love my job, and I look forward to seeing my classes, especially, I had COVID before Easter as well, so I haven't seen my students for like 3 weeks now, so it was quite nice to be back.
Yeah, oh dear. Well, I'm glad you are back. And I bet you're like me that your happiest moments are when you're actually in front of the class with the young people in front of you. That's always the best, isn't it?
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah.
This being our staff room that we've welcomed you into, that we found you in, we have to ask you the question: what is your coffee routine? Or are you a tea person, a coffee person? Are you with or without milk? What are you?
I don't drink tea. Definitely not a tea person. Definitely a coffee person. Strong, no milk, no cold water, nothing. Just strong coffee. Bitter, horrible. And always just first thing on the morning. To the point I even put the coffee mug out on my way to bed, and that's my first job in the morning. We drink coffee. Don't talk to me until I've had that.
That's good. You're a man after my own heart, James. Excellent. Yeah, black coffee once a day. That's enough.
Same.
Well, I'm totally aligned with you on 2 things, James. One is your passion for teaching, and the second is your passion for development. I'm sorry to say I'm not aligned with strong, bitter coffee as a tea drinker myself, but I can take 2 out of 3. I can forgive you the strong, bitter coffee. You mentioned a bit about the fact that being a history teacher is your bread and butter, but you've also got that sort of lead practitioner role in a school. And I just wanted to hear a bit more about how you came into that role. Was it through mentoring in the first place?
No, I've been doing this a few years now, actually. It's a set role in the college. There was it's morphed over a few years. We used to have like a lead practitioner for teaching, learning, and assessment, and a lead practitioner for employability. Then there's curriculum design, that kind of thing. But the new and current principal assistant for assistant principal, for that role kind of merged them all into one. So it's become a more broad role now. Initially, it was about finding and researching best practice in teaching and learning, and then going away, trialing that myself, like a mad scientist in my classroom, and trying different techniques that had just been pioneered, that kind of thing, and then feeding that back to the college, or just doing all staff training on whatever pilot techniques are out there. So that was what it was originally, and that's still very much a part of it. This other stuff on subject quality reviews and praise and teach and learn, that kind of thing, that's fairly new. That's maybe a year or two or three I've been doing that.
Oh, it's interesting. And then is mentoring a part of that role, or is that separate to that, the fact that you're an ECF mentor this year?
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified that.
No, that's all right.
Again, before they merged this role into one, I mean, there's a number of me. There's like 3 of me, if you like, in the college. I'm the only one who's a mentor at the minute, partly because of my proximity to my ECT, who also teaches history, but partly because the principal asked me to do it, and he put me forward to do it, which I was very happy to do, as he knew I would be. But we used to have staff mentors as well, and that was a secondary role, which has been merged into my role since. So I've done both before, mentoring course leaders as well, and individual teachers where they've asked just on latest teaching, learning, assessment techniques, that kind of thing, or whether we've got a project going on in the college, if they're not really sitting right with it, how to steer them into it, that kind of thing. So it's sort of evolved, as everything does in education, really. It's just evolved into it.
So it's kind of a natural fit with the role you were doing anyway, to be a mentor. Yeah,
sure. I think that's probably true. And to be honest, my ECT came to the college as a maternity cover, and we liked them so much we tried our best to keep them. So I've been working with them for maybe a year and a half, but mostly in COVID times, lockdown. The first teaching experience they had was like this, talking on headsets a lot, that kind of thing. So what they needed was to actually be welcomed into the classroom and another set of skills on top of that kind of thing. So it was very organic how it happened, yeah.
James, it sounds like your college takes the development of teaching and learning really seriously. Otherwise, it wouldn't have 3 of you working there. And you've mentioned different sort of mentoring type roles you've had in the college as well. So it's obvious that the college takes that seriously, the whole idea of mentoring. Clearly, that's a big part of this program, and the ECF is new to everyone across the country. It's a big program. It's very complex, really involved. Elaine and I run the program, and even we get confused with it sometimes. So the question really is, I'm interested in is how you working in the busy job that you have, manage to get your head around the size of the program so that you can help interpret that for your ECT.
I mean, chunking it is the way to do it. If you tried to see the whole thing, like you suggest, you might go a bit crazy trying to digest the whole thing in once. I just do it in weekly segments, to be honest, and we take it week by week. You're right. If I just go back at the point you said, that the college does take it seriously, I'm hugely grateful to them for that, for my own development as well, as a mentor and as a lead practitioner. They really took me on in that role and have developed me hugely, I think, in that role. So we've got the ethos in the college to make it work, and we've got the ethos in the college where it's not the absolute worst someone could do with a program like this is feel like it's something that's done to them, and to feel like it's something that they have to do. It's a hoop to jump through because they want this QTS. And it's not about that for me. It is difficult. I'm not going to say it's not. You've got to keep on top of it. That's the job. That's the nature of the job. And if you can't do that, are you in the right job? So yeah, we just chunk it. We take it week by week, and we're very keen to get something out of it for us. And that sounds a bit selfish, sorry, I don't mean it to, but we're trying to think, this is a wonderful program, it's wonderfully well researched, this is clearly the way forward. What do we want from it? Let's get something from it. Let's sit and work out how this is going to fit into history at Queen Elizabeth Sixth Form College, and how might it fit into other departments that I can disseminate around the place. And that's where I go with it. And every week I'm thinking, where does this fit with what we're doing, and what do I want from this? What do I want my ECT to get from this as well?
That's really important, isn't it? To allow your ECT to see the value in it, and it's not at all selfish, or that's really important. Any sort of episode of professional learning, you have to say, how is this going to make a difference to my classroom, or to my subject knowledge, or my skill in the classroom? All of that's really that is really important. I absolutely get that. And so you chunk it week by week. You more or less you follow the schedule as it's presented to you, James, or have you altered that in any way?
Only ever once. There was I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but it became apparent that because of something we were doing in a skills focus in history, it was elements of sequencing we were looking at. I merged 2 of the weeks into one, but dealt with it over 2 weeks.
Right.
Because it fit what we were doing. So I kind of read ahead. I knew what was coming in the programme. I knew what we planned in our team prep on the weekly packs for the following 2 weeks. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's something that works there as a whole. Ordinarily, I do just follow it, week by week. It's interesting you said something there about kind of selling it to the ECT. I do think that's hugely important. I think there's a sense, people come out of teacher training and they think, okay, I've got it now, I've done this, I've done my training, I've got my certificate, I've made it. And I'm like, no, you haven't. If you ever think you've made it in this job, you might be stagnated. You might actually be starting to lose it, because the game is changing all the time. And if you can't recognize that the game's changing all the time, you're not playing it anymore. So selling it as something that's continuous and something that's, you get something out of every different year that you teach. Someone once said to me, I forget who it was and I forget when it was, but do you have 10 years of teaching experience, or do you have 1 year that you've repeated 9 times? I don't ever want to be that guy, and I don't want my ECT to ever be that guy. I'm the guy with 10 years, whatever it is, teaching experience, and I want my ECT to be, actually, every year is different, and that's the beauty of this job. Who wants to do the same thing over and over? What's the point?
Absolutely, brilliant.
Yeah, there's so much in there that I want to pick up on that you've said, and I think that the first was just to take you back to your motivation for being a mentor, and you mentioned that it's part of the ethos and culture of your school anyway. So there was a sense of sort of wanting to pay back because you'd had excellent mentoring and it helped you to develop into the teacher that you wanted to be. Do you think that's really important, actually?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe, it's an odd story. I actually was a student here years ago, and how I've ended up back here is still a bit of a mystery. But even as a student, I could feel it, and I vividly remember my time as a sixth form student, and I loved the place, and I still love the place now, but for a different reason. And it's also a career change for me. Fresh out of uni, I always wanted to be a teacher. I was knocked back a couple of times, actually, and people said to me, you didn't have enough life experience to kind of do the job yet. So I thought, fine, I'll go out and do that. I'll get my life experience. I went into various management roles, and they weren't very nice. So the mentors, not really. But when I came back into teaching, I met some incredible people, and my current head of department, I mean, the man's a saint, he's an angel. And his drive, everything is, we can do better, we can always do better. That's brilliant, let's be even more brilliant. That's great, let's be greater. And it hugely fits into the ethos of the college. And like it fits what I want to do with it. Like I think I said at the start of the chat with you, I always want to champion the profession, and I always want to let people see teaching kind of for what it is, and teachers for who they are and what they are. And there's some outstanding practitioners that I know who bring a whole lot of themselves into their job, and it's a huge part of my identity, and it's a huge part of theirs as well. And so I do tend to seize on opportunities like this, really. I hope others do as well.
Well, it's interesting actually that you talk about that culture, because I know some of the challenges with the ECF framework are how schools can create that mentoring culture in their schools, and one of the big barriers to it is workload. And again, having been a busy teacher in a school myself, I know that workload can be a big burden and can feel like a big addition when you're a mentor. And you mentioned earlier in the podcast that it's really important to you that the ECF framework is something that fits with your school, and that it's not an add-on, it's not a burden, but it's actually something that's helping you to achieve the culture and the student outcomes that you want to in your school. And I just wondered if you could talk to that a little bit more, because I find that really interesting in terms of your approach to the ECF, that it's not a burden, it's not an add-on, but it's something that you make fit for your school and your context. And I just wondered if you could tell us what your secret is.
Oh, there's no secret. There's no secret. Like I said, just keep on top of it. Personally, I read ahead and I think, okay, what's coming up on the next week, or what's on the next module? And I'm thinking, okay, where will we be at with teaching history? My ECT teaches another subject as well, citizenship. So I think, okay, where are they going to be at in citizenship? And then how do I make it fit? How do I sell that week's learning from this ECF to get something out of that, And it's interesting, a lot of people talk about workload, and I get that, and I wouldn't sort of belittle anyone who was thinking that it is hugely busy. It's a hugely busy environment, and no one's denying that. But if you have a better tool, can you do the job better? So do you spend a little bit of time invested in a better tool to be able to be better and faster and stronger and fitter at the job that you do? I mean, it's probably a clumsy metaphor, but if you've got a long distance to travel, workload's huge if you're going to walk. The workload's going to be less if you grab a bike. It's going to be less still if you get in a car or a plane, Sorry, it's a clumsy analogy, but
I think it's a good analogy. Yeah.
So I think if we take this as us getting better tools, us putting more tools in the toolbox, and I've got stuff from it. I no way was I kind of walking into this thinking I'm the master. I'm not. I'm getting experience all the time as well, and it's a long time since I did my training. The game's changed. Things moved on, and it's nice for me to get new things and to try new things as well, and to constantly refresh, or even renew, or even redo elements of my training. So yeah, in terms of the workload, I see it as an investment. But also, if you look at it the night before, you're going to think, oh my goodness, this is a huge thing that I've got to do. How am I going to do this? But if you make it fit your processes and make it fit, then it becomes helpful.
That's really interesting. So it sounds like there are three things there. One is the fact that you've got to value it yourself, and you've got to show ECTs that you value it. So it's almost like your mindset and your approach. And the second thing, there's almost a sense of you've got to speculate to accumulate. So you do have to put that investment in the beginning to understand the big picture and pick the areas that are going to be useful to you. And then the third thing is, I think, what I think is really admirable is your openness to learning yourself. So there's already that sense that you're learning alongside your mentee, which can make it much more enjoyable, because I think you alluded to that message at the beginning, like the beauty of teaching is you're never going to master it. You're never ever going to master it, and that's the fun of it. I think that there's always going to be things you can talk about. So it sounds like those three ingredients have worked really well for you.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, but particularly that love of constantly learning it, that kind of thing. I mean, that ultimately, I'm sure Mark will attest to this. This is why I do history as well, because there's always something new in it. There's always, it's never stagnant. It never stops. We reinterpret the past and new every time we look at it. And I see that in teaching as well. And what worked 10 years ago, what work now. And my principal had another clumsy analogy. Would you trust a doctor to heal you if they'd never read a medical textbook since they trained. You know, you wouldn't, would you? So if we're going to be on the same level of professionalism as our friends who are doctors, we got to do the same thing and accept that the game changes. I've said that phrase a lot, I'm sorry. And it moves on, and we've got to move with it and roll with it. And that's something that even when I finished my teacher training, I always vowed I was going to do that. So I'm happy that I lived that vow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes great sense.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I'm really happy about the whole ECF program across the country, James, is that it's that invitation, isn't it, to new teachers to continue learning. It's absolutely explicitly saying you didn't stop learning when you did your initial teacher education year. You shouldn't know how to do it all now. There's a lot for you to learn, a lot for you to get better at, a lot for you to trial, to maybe muck up every now and then, and work out where it went wrong, and with a mentor, somebody at your side, somebody learning alongside you, hopefully, to continue to learn. And I think it's long overdue, really, in our profession, and I think we're all glad to be part of it now. Interested that your ECT, James, teaches two subjects. He teaches history and he teaches citizenship, and of course that's really quite common, isn't it? I know there's kind of a myth about secondary school teachers that we're only ever trained to teach one subject and that's it, and that'll be the furrow that you plow for the next 20 years, as if you never change. And of course, it's one of the reasons why actually the framework is written in that generic way. You know, it's a preparation for teaching, rather than simply, rather than a preparation to be a maths teacher or a preparation to be a year 2 teacher. It's a preparation for teaching, and that is one of its strengths, probably. But obviously, your ECT does have history classes that he wants to teach, and he does have citizenship classes that he wants to teach. And he sits down with you on a weekly basis, and he looks at his own self-study materials, and he looks at the mentoring materials with you. And we've got all these little case studies and vignettes and exemplifications of a different teacher in a different setting. I'm curious as to how you help your ECT to contextualize the materials to make them really relevant for his own classroom. What skills have you picked up along the way, James, that help with that recontextualization?
Yeah, I mean, we do read the examples of kind of what a teacher might do, the little case studies that you put in. Yeah, we do read them. Only one of them so far has explicitly been of an A-level history teacher, and we made that same point. Well, not everyone's an A-level history teacher. We're going to have other teachers trained, that kind of thing. But we co-teach a number of groups actually, and my ECT, as I say, in the pandemic as well, we used to co-teach online as well. So obviously they were the less experienced teacher, I was the more experienced teacher. We find our footing with the technology, so we kind of co-taught virtually every session. So more often than not, with those little case studies, being history teachers, we've got good memories. We can remember sort of something, or we can contextualize it in our practice. Maybe it's something that's happened in this room, or that's happened in that particular group that we maybe shared last year, or a group that we share this year. We split the teaching, you see. So like you have a main teacher and a supplementary teacher. So for example, one group this year, I'm the main teacher, the coursework teacher. Last year, they were the main teacher. I was the Italy teacher for the first years. So we can talk about the groups like endlessly, and we can always find a way of sort of saying that same thing has happened in a different setting, but there with this person or with this student.
Yeah. So you kind of just have to distill the case studies down to their essence, don't you? So actually, this is a case study about classroom management. Actually, it's not really a case study about a year 3 science class. It's a case study about classroom management, or it's a case study about asking questions. And it's interesting. I didn't realize that you did that. You do so much co-teaching with your ECT. That must really help, actually, because you have the same set of students you can call upon, the same. You've got lots of shared experience you can remark upon when you're when you're looking at some of the exemplifications. That's really interesting. That's really good, James. Thanks for that. I know that there's a lot of mentors out there who would keenly listen to you on this one, because it's an issue that we know comes up a lot in feedback to us about how our program is assisting or not assisting people in different contexts. Have you got anything else you want to say about that, about the range of case studies?
No, I mean, it's kind of a necessary evil, isn't it? You've got to cater to all these different people. I mean, again, isn't that the joy of the profession? Isn't that the fact that we've got professionals working in primary, we've got them working in middle schools, high schools, secondary schools, myself in an A-level setting, yourselves at a university setting, you've got to apply it to your own setting. But if you flip it around, you've also got the learner's experience, and if they're getting this experience in primary and then in secondary, then they're going to come to us kind of knowing that we deploy various strategies, that kind of thing. I mean, I actually chair a meeting of middle leaders, that kind of thing in the area, and we talk about issues across from primary to secondary to us, and often we're talking about students who will eventually come to us. We're obviously not naming individual students, but we're talking about strategies that our friends in the primary sector are deploying now based on metacognition, and then how we do it at A level, which is very different. But it's the same stuff, It's
the same stuff, and it's always relevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Regardless of the context. Yeah, great.
I think you kind of answered the question I'm about to ask, sort of in earlier answers, but it'd be interesting to draw it all together. It won't have escaped your notice that one of the challenges of the framework is that ECT takes a lot of hard work, and that often comes through in our feedback. And how do you make sure your ECT sees the value in it?
Yeah, I mean, I know my ECT does say that as well, and sees that it's a lot of hard work. But again, kind of linking back to what I'd said before, I'm trying to convince, and I do this to other colleagues as well, who I might have a more informal sort of mentoring capacity with, I suppose. What are you going to get out of it? If you're not in it to get something out of it, then it's always going to feel like something's been done to you. If you approach this thinking, okay, positively, and just think, okay, what do I want to get? What do I, ECT, want to get out of this particular week? And me as a mentor, I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to get out of this particular week? I mean, I know in the materials, there's all this challenge for mentors in there as well, which I like. And it didn't go amiss with me. I could see that I was supporting too much in the earlier phase, and actually that was a scaffold for me. And when that scaffold had to come off, is quite recently, I'm thinking, well, should there be more challenge? Should I be doing more challenge? And it's been enriching for me in that sense, in that my role's not static as a mentor. I'm learning more about mentoring, the on-side model. I didn't know that existed until this program, but that really makes sense. I mean, I think that's how I am as a person, I suppose, anyway, so it fits with me. I don't have to adopt any different thought process, but yeah, it works, and it's all about what do you want to get out of it, and what do you want to bring to the table. Everything that motivates me, like Mark had said before, is the people in front of me, my students in front of me. When I'm in front of my class, that's me at my happiest. And everything I do, I want them to do well, and I want them to look back on their time at college and think, he was all right, I liked him. I liked history. He was a good lad, was James. And if I can bring something from the program to them, we've all won.
Yeah, I'm sure they have, and I'm sure your students do say he was a good lad as well. I think there's something in there in terms of pitch as well, which is quite interesting, because you talked about level of challenge, and I think that links to something you said earlier about there can be a tendency with ECTs to think, well, I've done this, I've done the standards in my training year, I made this big folder for you, and now you're making me do it all again. And I think there's perhaps something in there about pitch and making sure that you're constantly challenging them to see things in different ways, or even be reflective about their own behaviours, to say, well, really, you know, have you nailed it? Because I've been doing this 20 years and you know, I wouldn't say I'm perfect at it. And I think the done with is really interesting, sort of making sure ECTs are aware that this ultimately is going to be what you make it. You know, it doesn't matter how many great people you have around you, and you know, your ECTs are really lucky to work in a school where they work, but ultimately this opportunity is going to be what you make it, and you need to take advantage really of the learning opportunity you've been given. On that note, I'm just going to pass you a post-it note over through the screen. It's a blank post-it note, and on that post-it note, I'd like you to write some advice on it, and I'd like you to tell me what advice you've written on it and who you would give it to.
Is this advice to another mentor or to another ECT? Or?
It could be to anyone you want. So it could even be to us at the university or delivery partners. It could be to anybody. So it's an imaginary post-it note that you can put some advice on, and you can give it to anybody.
I'll make a habit of giving advice in case it goes wrong down the line. I would write advice to sort of new or recently qualified teachers, and it's probably not going to be a surprise because I've said it a lot. The game's always changing, and just keep playing it. The second you stop, you're no longer a teacher.
Really like that. Yeah, I really like that a lot. I think that's great advice for any teacher, really, to put on any staff room anywhere.
I think you've earned your biscuit, James, and since we are in this virtual staff room,
Virtual biscuit.
You can have a virtual biscuit. Do you have a biscuit? Do you have a biscuit of choice, or?
Oh, bourbons I like. I don't, not really a biscuit.
Can't go far wrong with the bourbon.
Cake, I suppose I like more.
Great choice.
Yeah. James, it's been great talking to you, great listening to you, and I know that you say you don't like giving advice, and definitely understand why, because you know, as soon as you advise someone, you own the words you've given them, don't you? And then if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. But it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job. Your ECT is very lucky to have you. We're very lucky that you're mentoring on our program. We're delighted that you've joined us in the staff room today. I can hear a bell ringing distantly in the background. That probably means the caretaker wants to chuck us out. But enjoy the rest of your evening, James, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much for downloading and listening to this IOE podcast.